you lonely? Do you know someone who is lonely? A friend, a family member? The number of people who feel lonely is growing and it's worrying. Today, we're going to talk about the loneliness pandemic. I'm Mikael, and this is what I learned today. Loneliness isn't just about being alone. It's more about feeling like you don't have meaningful connections. Some people love being alone, including myself, and I don't feel lonely at all, while others can be in a crowded room and still feel completely isolated. Think about a college student with hundreds of online friends but no one there to share their real thoughts, or an elderly woman who lives alone but feels fulfilled because she has strong friendships and family connections. A recent study found that around 36% of young adults between 18 and 25 experience serious loneliness. It's also different from social isolation. You can be isolated but not feel lonely. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely lonely. It's not about how many people are in your life, but how deep those relationships are. Loneliness is getting worse worldwide. Studies show about 7% of adults in Europe, 30 million people by the way, feel lonely most of the time. Another 75 million barely interact with each other. A global survey found that loneliness increased by 25% during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what's causing this? Technology plays a big role. We are always connected, yet real interactions are becoming less personal. Take a remote worker who spends their day on Zoom calls, but never actually sees a coworker in real life. They might be busy, but they still might feel alone. There's how our social structures have changed. Smaller families, busier schedules, and financial stress make it harder to build and maintain friendships. A single parent juggling multiple jobs, for instance, may not have the time to nurture social relationships, leaving them feeling cut off. Remember, relationships are like plants. If you don't water them, they die. Anyone can feel lonely, but some groups struggle with it more. Surprisingly, young adults report higher loneliness levels than older generations. Social media plays a role. Of course it does. Seeing everyone's perfect lives can make people feel left out. Research suggests that 1 in 3 people in the UK feel lonely at least once a week. Big life changes like losing a job, getting divorced, or moving to a new city can also make loneliness worse. Imagine working at a company for 10 years, right? Building friendships and with coworkers and then suddenly losing it all. That sense of belonging is gone overnight. Men and women experience loneliness differently too. Men often feel lonelier after losing a partner, while women struggle more in unhappy relationships. Immigrants and minorities also face higher loneliness levels due to cultural barriers and discrimination. Imagine moving to a country where you don't speak the language well. It's easy to feel isolated. Loneliness isn't just about emotion, it seriously impacts health. Studies show and say it's bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises stress, weakens the immune system, and increases the risk of heart attack and depression. A Harvard study found that socially disconnected people are 29% more likely to develop heart disease and 32% more likely to have a stroke. It can also create a downward spiral. Take a retired person who loses their daily routine. Without social activities, they feel lonely, which leads to depression, making them withdraw even more. And it's not just individuals. Loneliness affects communities. When people feel isolated, they trust others less, and communities become less connected. The COVID-19 pandemic made this even worse, especially for the elderly and low-income individuals. Loneliness is a big problem, but there are ways to fight it. Here are some simple things we can all do. Instead of looking for new friends, try strengthening the relationships you already have. Send a message, make a call, plan a get-together. Studies show that maintaining at least one or 2 to 3 close relationships significantly reduces feelings of loneliness. Join a group. Being part of a community makes a huge difference, whether it's a sports team, a book club, volunteering. Doing things with others help form real bonds. Cut back on social media. Social media can make us feel connected, but often it's just an illusion. Try spending more time with people in person. A survey found that people who limit social media to 30 minutes a day feel significantly less lonely than those who excessively use it. Talk to someone. If loneliness is overwhelming, talking to a therapist or a support group can help. Sometimes just one honest conversation can change how we feel. And if you notice someone who seems lonely, reach out to them. A small act of kindness can make a huge difference. Communities and governments can also step up by creating more inclusive spaces and affordable social activities. Listen, loneliness is difficult, but it's not unbeatable. We can all take small steps to reconnect and support each other. We can all make a real difference. If this episode resonated with you, please share with someone who might need it. Let's keep the conversation going and create a world where people feel more connected. I'm Mikel, and this is what I learned today. Bye.